Hi, welcome. Today we're going to build a crawfish trap just like this one here. It's a cylindrical one. It has an inlet on one end as well as the other end. I have a tag line here that's probably about 12 to 14 foot long, something like that, for throwing it out and retrieving it off the bank. We also have an access panel here so that you can bait it and also retrieve your crayfish as well. They're very simple to make, nothing too difficult. Basically what you're going to need is you're going to need some tin snips, a couple pairs of pliers, some zip ties, a little bit of wire. I just use this is just wire for basically floral stuff. You can find that at Walmart, cheap, real easy. And then also a little bit of chain. None of this stuff is set in stone. You can use basically what you want. You know, these are just items that I used. But it'll just give you the basic idea of what you need in order to build a crayfish trap. Basically what you need to start out with is a roll of mesh, wire mesh. And you can basically find this at any of your hardware store, Ace Hardware, Home Depot, Lowe's, anything like that. This one happens to be half by half squares. There are ones that are quarter by quarter, so on and so forth. For my design and what I use a piece of mesh that's 2 foot long, and I count 43 squares out and make sure that there's 43 and then cut on the outside. For my design is because I use these little pieces of PVC pipe, which is 6-inch PVC pipe, in order to sturdy it, as you'd see in this one here. It just basically makes it a little bit sturdier and not quite so flexible. These are not necessary. You can certainly do it without it. It's just something I've chosen to do in order to sturdy my trap up a little bit. You can basically build it whatever size you want. You just need to take and check with your Game and Fish to make sure that there's no size limit or whatever, and just stick to those limits. Otherwise you can build whatever you want. At that point, this came off the roll just like this. So you don't really have to do too much forming to it. It's basically in a cylinder position anyways. You just want to open it up so that it'll fit together. I overlap 3 of the end pieces with 3 of the other side. So that gives it a nice sturdy line through there. Take a zip tie and through the first square, and just tighten that down. Now basically I use these zip ties just to hold it till I put the wire on it, but you can do it however you like. The zip ties will work just fine. There's no problems with them. You may have to replace them from time to time, but just keep an eye on them and you should be just fine if you want to just use zip ties. You don't necessarily have to use wire. Now you may want to use some gloves with these while you're doing this, because these edges where you cut this off can be sharp, so just be careful. And at that point you basically got your cylinder. If you want to use just zip ties, you can basically just zip tie this all the way down. Or if you want to use wire, just take a piece of wire, place it through, and just loop it around a couple times. That way it just holds it in place, and that way it won't go nowhere. I just find I can get these tighter this way, and they're not so loose if I do it. You might even want to use a pair of pliers just to tighten that up a little bit. Lay that down flat, and then all I do is go like every other one, along this edge of the top piece that folds over, and I loop it through. Hold it down tight, loop it through again. Now that's good and tight right there. Go 2 more up, or 3, whatever you feel is best, and do it again. And just do that all the way up if you choose to use the wire. Now at this point in my design, I'll slide this PVC collar in here. And it's tight fitting. Okay, now we got it in there. It was a tight fit, but we finally got it in there. Now I leave it back 1 square behind the outside edge. And this will help too, that once we put our cones in, it stiffens out the outside edge, but it also gives you room in order to tie off your outside cone. At this point, you're going to want to take and drill a few holes around the outside edge and zip tie those to hold these collars in place.